Okay, you guys can just, it's off again. Just fill the void for a second.
Sorry, ladies and gents, we're back.
And we're back to another episode of Football's Destiny, Part 2 of the NFC North Breakdown.
Oh, I thought we were just going to skip the rest of the NFC North. The rest of the teams are irrelevant other than the Vikings.
Wow, good one. Ha 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 ha. Ha. Where we left off was talking about Jamal Williams and how he's probably the biggest character in the NFL. Man's just likes watching Naruto all day.
Now that Antonio Brown's out of the league, you're not wrong.
Yeah, that was the biggest character. Yeah.
Probably still the biggest character in football, and he doesn't play football.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, folks. We had some. The Wi-Fi just went down. That was tough. Please tell everybody to come back.
We'll give it a few.
That was pretty whack. I'm not gonna lie.
Everyone's messaging me right now. Did the stream end? Did it die?
Did it die?
No.
Thank you, Cali Kid. I agree. The Packers aren't that bad. They're just going to be worse than they have been the last 20 years. Although there were some rough moments in the early 2000s with Favre.
All right, yeah. Well, everybody's filtering back in, so sorry about that again. We don't know what happened, but it's tough. It's a hard knock life out here.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, it do be like that sometimes.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
And we're back.
Yeah, definitely Jamal Williams leaving. Very, very big hole to fill. 17 touchdowns last season. Obviously, I've never really doubted him, but I was very surprised. 17 touchdowns. I don't even know who the last running back was to do that. Adrian Peterson, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
There hasn't really been. I mean, Derrick Henry's him, but I don't think that he's I don't think he's ever even had 17 touchdowns in a season. So
no, the weird thing for Derrick Henry is he could have way more touchdowns. Just a lot of times they take him out of the goal line package because he's too big.
Yeah,
like he has to start 15 yards behind the ball to get that running head start, so they don't like having him. And when they do give it to him on the goal line, he just does a pass half the time.
True.
So
all right, let's get back on the Lions train.
Let's see. Gained in free agency. Cornerback Cameron Sutton from Pitt. 3-year, $33 million deal. Running back David Montgomery from Chicago. 3-year, $18 million deal.
That pickup is interesting to me. Well, okay, it makes more sense now, but before they traded DeAndre Swift, which we'll talk about, it was just so confusing about it. And then they didn't Jamal Williams didn't have a place to go yet either. Yeah. So then we're like, what the hell are they going to do with all these running backs, Because honestly, I hope I speak for everybody when I say this. I don't know why the Lions let Jamal Williams go. I was expecting him to return on a slightly big bag, at least amount that David Montgomery got, 3 years, 18, at least something like that.
I think that was more of a him decision.
It might have been, honestly.
Detroit's not the most beautiful part of the country. I know New Orleans isn't a ton prettier, but probably a little bit more to do.
Yeah, you're right. But I don't know. I expected them to try to retain him more because obviously
especially coming off 17 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, leading the NFL last season.
It had to have been a him just he just didn't want to be in Detroit anymore.
Yeah, honestly, it could have came down to that. Honestly. Anyways, continue.
Also gaining free agency safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson from the
interception leader last year.
From the what do we call them? The Super Bowl runner-up.
Yeah.
The first losers.
Cornerback Emmanuel Mosley from the Niners and old-ass wide receiver Marvin Jones from Jacksonville.
You're damn right.
I didn't know this man was still playing.
Yeah, honestly, he's just been bouncing around on one-year deals, so maybe he'll be a good veteran presence in a younger wide receiver core.
He started off in Detroit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure back in Nam.
That's where you got his start. Damn, when Matthew Stafford was throwing at balls.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a long time ago. No, wasn't that long ago.
John kind of hit on it a little bit. Traded away running back DeAndre Swift to the Eagles. We talked about that last week, especially losing Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift in the same offseason. Trying to fill that hole. David Montgomery. I think that David Montgomery is a decent running back, but not to fill the hole of both of those players. I don't know why John put that this is notable. They also got kicker Riley Patterson.
Oh, wow. But that was mean to Riley Patterson. No,
that was funny.
And traded away also cornerback Jeff Okudah
for a fifth-round pick to Atlanta.
I thought Jeff Okudah was going to be good when he got drafted out of Ohio State, right?
Yep, third overall.
Yeah, right. I thought he was going to be good, and
the Lions aren't very good at drafting.
No, I noticed that in recent years. Except they did pretty good with Aiden Hutchinson last year, but
that wasn't even. I don't even think that was their decision. It was
they
just Michigan boy, and
yeah,
it was
they
like they
had
knew they'd lose their entire fan base if they didn't.
Yeah, you're right. The lack of fan base that already exists. I mean, it's coming
There's some
back
Lions
now.
fans out
It's
there.
coming back now.
I think Lions fans are pretty faithful. They don't let it be known that they're Lions fans.
Well, it's because they haven't won the division since 1993.
Lions fans.
1993.
Yeah, it was
Isn't that the last time the Cowboys were relevant too?
True. That was a
You
good
just
one.
absolutely
That was a
hated
good
on
one.
them. Yeah, you just said the last time they were relevant.
Oh, dude, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
But
You gonna be able to recover?
barely. Coming back to Jeff Okudah, yeah, we'll see how he does in Atlanta. He didn't play like horribly last season. You know, he was like kind of he was battling some injuries, but like when he did play, he was doing all right. Maybe not like a third round or third overall selection good, but you know, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, he joins the shit show in Atlanta now.
Oh, also Riley Patterson is relevant because when they also retained Michael Badgley 1 year from their team. So why the hell do they have two kickers? They like two active kickers on their roster.
Is Riley the one that got kicked by Urban Meyer?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it? So they're just doing him a favor. They wanted to get him out of Jacksonville.
Well, maybe, but
Oscar
like
Meyer Urban.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
But like that's like I don't know any team that has two kickers on their roster, and like they're both formidable, like good enough kickers to be
The
on a
Chiefs
team.
have two kickers.
Cool.
Justin Reed.
No, I
I was about to
guess.
say since they have two kickers,
But I don't think Riley Patterson or Riley, wait, is that his name? Patterson is going to play safety either.
Well, he's a kick returner. He's related to Cordero.
Oh, but if that happens, good for him.
I know we talked the NFC East last week, but since they have two kickers, the Cowboys could probably go get one of them since you guys have like a quarter of a kicker.
I don't want to talk about it.
Sorry, we're talking
Oh,
NFC North. I just keep wanting to dig on the Cowboys.
It's fine by me. I don't care.
All right,
Also retained in free agency other than kicker Michael Badgley.
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 Close and different.
Linebacker Alex Anzalone. Is it Anzalone?
Yep.
Anzalone. I've heard it both ways. 3 year,
Anzalone,
18
I would say.
million. Defensive end. John. Is that Kaminsky?
Yes, it is.
That just doesn't look right. Safety CJ Moore.
Oh, you got that one right though. Oh no, it's easy.
Attaboy.
And guard Graham Glasgow.
Oh, wow. You did good with those last two. No, I'm
I
just
said
kidding.
Kaminsky too. It just didn't look right.
Komsky. No.
It's kind of a tongue twister, that one. Guard Graham Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Guard Graham.
Guard Graham Glasgow.
Guard.
Say that 9 times.
Guard
fast.
Graham. Guard Graham Glasgow. Guard
Yeah,
Graham
you're-
Glasgow.
I'm cutting this off now.
Guard Glass
Guard.
Graham Gow.
Graham guard Graham Glau.
Gow Graham Glass.
Okay. That's enough.
Notable draft picks this year. They took not a wide receiver. Why not say? I literally see that it says running back
Right.
in front of my face.
Inside of your face.
What?
That's like, all right, keep
Running
going.
back, Mr. Gibbs from Alabama.
Jahmyr Gibbs, Alabama. Honestly, this is probably the most surprising pick. Like, nobody thought a running back would be
surprised by
going, this early, and especially not to the Lions, because obviously at that time they had pretty much their
to
running back room figured out.
pretty much starting running backs.
Yeah. And so I don't understand why they decided to
know.
go with this.
But he is the second best running back in this draft, in my opinion.
The second best? Who do you have as the best?
What do you think is the best?
Oh, Bijan?
Yeah. Man in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Bijan, people are
Down
going to
in
take him
Atlanta.
first overall in fantasy. Robinson,
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. That's a
Wild.
stretch.
wild.
That's crazy to me.
I think he's still is
Wide
capable of going in the
receivers-
first round, though.
Wide receivers value in fantasy this year is going to make.
It's
running
honestly
backs.
through the roof
Yeah.
right now, especially because just how the trend of the NFL is going. Of like, you have most teams want a running back committee now. So like, if you get like one of those like good workhorses like Derrick Henry or even Saquon, if he decides to come back to the Giants,
He'll be
then
playing
you're
somewhere.
set. But like, if not, then you have to go towards a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson or somebody like that. But I want to talk about really quick. The Detroit defense was god awful last year, bottom of the league for the second straight season. But so everybody thought they were going defense at some point, especially with this pick. But they decided to beef up the backfield instead. Gibbs did rush for over 2,000 yards and had 1,200 receiving yards between his stints at Georgia Tech and Alabama. So that was like combined, like his career. It wasn't just like one season, because that would be absurd if it was just one season. But
Yeah, when I was reading that, I was like, he had 2,000 and 1,000 at
Yeah,
Georgia
yeah.
Tech and Alabama.
No, yeah, that
How did this
ball.
guy not go first overall?
Yeah, if that was the case, then yeah, I think we'd be talking about running back going first overall.
They
But
also beefed up their defense, though.
kinda, well, yeah, beef is the right word.
They took middle linebacker from Iowa, Jack Campbell. Dude is 6'5", 250.
That is huge for a
Looking-
middle linebacker,
Looking like Ish Wainwright out on the football field.
dude. Vance is beefy. That's like huge for a middle linebacker. Usually, like it's kind of like the opposite of what people go for. Like when the Cardinals drafted Isaiah Simmons a couple years ago, where like he was kind of like a safety hybrid, but they moved him down the linebacker. He's like a little bit quicker, not as stocky. But the Lions said, nope, we need a run stuffer, because Lions run defense allowed 5.22 yards per carry last season, which was third worst in the NFL. So obviously that run defense needs some help.
How did they end up 9-8?
Dude,
No clue. Teams couldn't figure out that they could just run it every single play against
I
them.
guess not.
Gracious.
No.
DeAndre Swift and Jamal. Just have DeAndre Swift run down the field and give the rock to Jamal, smash it in.
Yeah, dude, that's what they would do on offense for sure. It's just they ran the ball a lot on offense, but teams ran the ball a lot on defense on them as well.
Staying with our topic of teams taking players from the same college, they took a tight end from Iowa. What is up with this?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess if they work together, Sam Laporta. What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, for as far as tight ends go, it's a great college to get a tight end from.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were talking about cornerback university earlier. Definitely could be tight end university, Iowa. Let's see,
Good job, buddy. You have to call him buddy.
buddy.
Yeah.
Al,
Buddy.
why buddy?
Just as somebody, Jake Claver in the chat said that if we call him buddy, he'll sub. Buddy.
Thanks, champ.
They all call-
Thanks for subbing, buddy.
Thanks, bud. Oh, but
What's up, John, buddy?
yuck. Please don't ever do that ever again.
What's up, Johnny, buddy?
Detroit getting Sam Laporta, I think, is pretty good. Obviously, we talked about Iowa tight end university. It's been like that since George Kittle and stuff came out of there, But last season, Detroit used 4 different tight ends after trading T.J. Hawkinson. So obviously, tight end was a pretty big need for them. And Laporta is Iowa's all-time leader in receptions for a tight end and ranks second in receiving yards. So the fact that he does that amongst the great tight ends that have come out of Iowa shows that he's probably pretty damn good. And we'll see how it goes.
Pretty impressive.
They had 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. Their second-round pick was safety Brian Branch from Alabama. I remember watching him last season, and I mentioned him a little bit earlier, but he reminds me of Tyrann Mathieu. Can play both safety and corner. Played 75% of his snaps last year at slot corner, so playing in the middle of the field is his jam. They also took quarterback Hendon Hooker from Tennessee. I like John's notes here. Security blanket if Jared Goff sucks or goes down with injury.
Yes,
Buddy's words, not ours.
Buddy's words. Oh my god, you guys are ridiculous. But
Hendon Hooker, I wasn't super high on him at Tennessee, but hopefully his game can translate to the NFL.
I was for a little bit, the beginning of the year.
Is that just because of the
Jalen Hyatt?
Yeah, the talent he had around him.
Well, then that's when it dawned on me it's just Jalen Hyatt that was making him that good. But I mean, he would throw 4 touchdowns to him a game, and then you would have 2 others, so you'd have like 6 per game. And I was like,
and we talk about that, and obviously, like, we give wide receivers a lot of respect, but like someone had to get them the ball, like, and it. Again, we joke about it, but it isn't just one of those Jalen's down there somewhere. Like,
maybe it was.
It was for Stetson Bennett.
Well, yeah, but he had like the best defense in college football history behind him as well.
Facts.
But yeah, Hendon Hooker. I mean, there's a chance that he plays at some point if Jared Goff sucks, or if he gets injured, because obviously that's a reality in the NFL. People go down all the time.
Honestly, Jared Goff is not a bad quarterback to be learning behind.
No, he went to a Super Bowl.
Well, and he's definitely he is a locker room guy. Like, people love being teammates with him. People love him in Detroit. So being able to sit behind Jared Goff.
Honestly, I thought when they traded Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, when that trade happened, I thought that's where Jared Goff's career was going to die. And he has done nothing but impress me over in Detroit so far. I mean, like he's not like blowing your mind, like passing out there, but he manages his game very well. And if Detroit can stay close in games, which they were all last season, even their losses, were pretty damn close. Like, I think Jared Goff is more than a formidable quarterback to take them to the playoffs.
I agree.
Which is leading me into our record predictions, because I do have the Lions making the playoffs. Woo, the drought's over.
All 3 of us do.
Yep. I have the Lions finishing 10-7 and as the 6th seed in the NFC.
I also have them as the 6th seed, finishing 1 game lower than that, 9-8.
I have them winning the NFC North at a record of 11-6 and becoming the 3rd seed in the NFC.
Oh, within 2 games of each other. So
yeah, pretty.
I think I'm the only one that didn't take their over.
Yep, that's true. All right. Yeah,
the
you're cheating on that edge real quick.
But the Lions also.
It scared me. Sorry, I thought somebody was screaming.
Can you go let the dogs out?
Who let the dogs out? Who?
I can't remember what I was going to say now. I lost my train of thought. Oh, the Lions also like to tie a game every year. So
they didn't last year.
I know, but for like 3 years in a row they did.
I think we need some Buddy merch. No, thank you.
Buddy merch.
I don't think I should do that.
We'll get a Damon's face shirt. Buddy, Johnny the Buddy. Johnny the Bud.
Oh, yuck. Please don't. All right, question really quick. Do you think Jahmyr Gibbs was the right pick at round 1, pick 12? I mean, you obviously could have went more defense because you need it. You could have went, honestly, in any other direction but running back, but you decided to reach and take I say reach because of just the trends in the NFL, but I think it was right.
I'm not a huge fan of taking running backs early, just from what we've seen in the past.
I agree with you that he is the 2nd best running back. They didn't go best overall, and they didn't go best upgrade. With players coming off the board 18 through 22 that arguably are a better football player, but when it comes to running backs, it wasn't a deep running back draft this year.
No, like, obviously, I want to talk about this with the Lions really quick, too. Jameson Williams is suspended for the first 6 games, and he barely played at all last year as well. So, like, I think that was, like, a more of a need, because right now on the depth chart, Marvin Jones, old man Marvin Jones is your wide receiver 3. And obviously he's going to be wide receiver 2 until Jameson Williams comes back. So, like, I think that was, like, a way more, like, pressing need that they needed to fill, because they could have went for somebody, like, who went later, like Jackson Smith Najibba, something like that. Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers.
That guy's incredible.
Jordan Addison. So those guys went 20, 21, 22, 23. The Lions could have easily took one of those guys at 12, and nobody would have batted an eye. They would have been like, that's a great pick for the Lions.
Or they could have traded back
even that too, if they didn't want like at 12, they could have got a little bit more capital, maybe gone back to even 18. Or they were already at 18. If they just go back to like 20, like so they were like back to back like that, they could have easily got some and more capital later on. So like Jahmyr Gibbs could be really good and a really good fantasy player and just overall really good for the Lions, but like I don't think it was the best pick for them.
If they had taken Jack Campbell at 12, Jahmyr Gibbs probably would have still been available.
I 100%. I think so.
I think that because they do have as much draft capital as they do, then they got 2 first-round picks in the Matthew Stafford trade.
At least, yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah, but I thought it was last year and this year. I think it's over.
Yeah,
I think it was one of these picks this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Supposed
still
to be
was.
the Rams.
I think it was the 12.
12.
Yeah, because the Lions were good enough to, so they were back in 8.
Middle.
Yeah. But yeah, like Jahmyr Gibbs, good luck to you. But I don't like it. Could end up being really good, and we're just talking nonsense. But I just don't think for their situation right now that was not the best pick.
We all have them making the playoffs, so
maybe it'll work out for him. Who knows? Yeah. Are you excited, David? Guess what time it is?
Guess what time it is?
This is the part where me and Hunter shut up and we let Damon rant.
There's no way you two are quiet this entire segment.
He has to talk about the Jets like half the time.
This is bullshit. The New York Packers?
Yeah.
Oh.
The Green Bay Bears.
Dude.
You put that over the G?
You didn't notice that?
No.
It's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Guys are dumb. So we already talked about it. I don't really want to talk about it again, but the Packers unfortunately finished 8-9 last year, and they should have finished 9-8 and made the playoffs, but they couldn't. Vegas odds, according to FanDuel Sportsbook, has this at 7.5. Wow. I mean, it's reasonable.
Yeah, I would say.
I
agree.
Allow it with all the questions going around this team. So, lost in free agency. We lost wide receiver Alan Lazard, wide receiver Randall Cobb, safety Adrian Amos, all to the New York Jets. We lost defensive end Dean Lowry to Minnesota. We already talked about tight end Robert Tonyan to Chicago, which we did not talk about yet because we haven't talked about that team because they're at the bottom. Obviously, they are all the time. Defensive end Jaron Reed to Seattle on a 2-year deal. Players that we gained in free agency is going to be Travarius Moore, safety out of San Francisco. Safety Jonathan Owens out of Houston, who is married to Simone Biles.
I didn't know that. I think maybe I did know that, but I didn't know that was his name.
1 year, $1 million deals for both of them?
Yeah.
Steal.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they probably deserve more than that, but I don't think they deserve a ton more.
Really quick, Damon, I don't mean to cut you off, but we did hit a great milestone. We're at 50 subs now, boys.
Wow.
If you're not subbed and you're in here, please do so right now. We'd greatly appreciate it, especially during this wonderful time of Damon's segment of the year.
The Packers signed long snapper Matthew Orzech from the Rams.
Lit.
I know. Our special teams have been pretty atrocious the past couple of years. One of the reasons we lost the last time we were in the playoffs is because, we couldn't score any points on offense, but then we let San Francisco's defense block a punt.
Yeah, that was literally the only reason. No offense.
Lone touchdown.
Yeah, no offense could score, but that special teams mess up was what cost you. Yep, so it's tough.
Traded away some guy named Aaron Rodgers to the Jets.
For a bag of chips.
Yeah, pretty much.
We got number 13. You guys could end up getting another first round.
I think it'll happen.
It'll definitely happen.
Watch him play 64% of the snaps.
Just be a savage like that.
Who is that? It was the Colts and Carson Wentz that had that. I thought for sure anytime they were getting killed or anytime they were winning, just
pull up real quick and then say like he didn't play that much.
That just creates such a precedent that like teams would be allowed to do that.
Yeah, so that would go.
If any team's greasy enough to do it, it's you guys.
The Jets, yeah.
We only owe them like $1 million this year, so.
See, like I feel like then that would go into like conversations, like how in the NBA they've been talking about, like tanking, issues and stuff. If people started like actually, like pulling their stars when they're down or whatever to not hit that threshold, I think somebody would step in and be like, hey. Like, there's got to be some more stipulation to this.
The NFL Players Association would step in and be like, Yeah,
Really?
we're gonna go ahead and remove this from every player's contract.
Yeah. Or they would just say like, unless it like
Unless it's based on
injury or
yeah,
another circumstance like
a
Right.
like that.
doctor outside of the football team.
Something like that. Yeah, definitely.
We want a third and fourth opinion.
Some things I am happy about in free agency. We retained cornerback and kick returner Keyshawn Nixon. I am super excited to watch this guy play. It's been a while since the Packers have had a decent return man, and I can get excited for punt returns and kick returns.
Yeah, dude.
He pretty much single-handedly won that Week 17 game against Minnesota.
Yeah, he was crazy.
And kept us alive until the Lions ruined it.
And just reports coming out of Packers training camp was that like there's a good chance that he starts at nickel corner this season. So like he'll get some playing time on the defensive end as well. So it could be really big for you, especially on a 1 year, $4 million deal. Like he shows out, you might have to pay him a little bit more next year. But
I mean, the reason we're doing that though is because like Stokes has not shown up.
Like he was really good for like 5 weeks, I feel like, of his NFL career, and then outside of that,
he should be so much better. So it'll be a battle between him and Nixon. See who gets that slot cornerback position. Because I mean, cornerback 1 and cornerback 2 were pretty good at Douglas and Jair.
Yeah, definitely.
Notable draft pick for my Packers, round 1, number 13 overall. This we did get from the New York Jets in the Aaron Rodgers trade. We drafted Lucas Van Ness, defensive end out of Iowa. Yes and no. I'm really happy about this. Yes, I'm happy because I think he is a beast. Coming out of Iowa, watching some of his film tape, he's already proven that he's pretty much NFL ready because the left tackle, Peter Strolowski or whatever his name is, who's supposed to be really, really good left tackle, he multiple times made this man look foolish on that tape. Running through him, running around him, spinning around him. It was awesome. I loved watching that highlight tape. So I'm happy that we got him. I think he's going to be really good on the other side of Preston Smith.
Question for you about him real quick. You know how many games he started at Iowa?
No, I don't.
None.
0.
Really?
Yeah, such a stud for coming off the bench. But yeah, he sat behind 2 fifth-year seniors that started the games.
They were like,
so he was a backup. He was just being thrown in there
technically, but like, okay, so obviously you start the 5th-year seniors because they've been there. They're culture guys in your program. But yeah, he'd come out the bench, but he would play the majority of the game. Okay, but like still, he never started a game in his college career.
Well, this, folks, is just a classic case of not doing your research and homework and just looking at a highlight tape that someone created because it looks fantastic on the highlight tape, and still excited about him.
No, I would be too, honestly. I mean,
pretty high draft pick.
At number 13 is kind of concerning. I don't know. Like, he might be really good. I can see him being really good. But I guess another question is, like, where's he going to go, though? He's going to be another rotational, like, pass rusher because you have so many already.
Right, but we lost Dean Lowry, who was a part of that, and we also lost Jaron Reed, who was a part of that last year. So I'm okay. I would rather have him than Dean Lowry 100% without even knowing. Because Dean Lowry didn't really do anything.
Oh, yeah, and I guess also, like, Rashawn Gary had that, like, elbow injury last season that kept him out for a while, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, I mean, I don't think in the NFL you can have too many pass rushers.
Right.
So you can just keep rotating them in, and if you have fresh guys all the time, that can really get to the quarterback. That can do some damage.
Right. So we'll be a rotation on the defensive line of Luke Van Ness. It's going to be Preston Smith, unless he plays outside linebacker. But TJ Slayton in the middle at nose tackle and Kenny Clark.
Kenny Clark
from last year out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Despite not starting any games, he had 14 sacks and 20 and a half tackles for loss during his career there, which was 4th best for the Big Ten.
For not being a starter, yeah, that's damn good.
Well, and again, because he's so honestly used to coming off the bench, that role might be the best for him so that he can be that fresh set of legs for the second unit.
Yeah, he could be really good. I don't mind this pick at all, but I don't know. Like we joke about it all the time, but Packers still not going offense, even though Aaron Rodgers is gone. Like your GM is just stuck in his ways. He's like defense.
He likes.
I'm all right with it.
If you're all right with it, I'm all right with it.
I'm all right with it. We seem to do pretty good in drafting offensive players in the second round. which leads me into my second round draft pick at pick number 42. We also got that draft pick from the Jets. Thank you. We got Luke Musgrave, tight end out of Oregon State. He's not the tight end that I wanted. Obviously, I thought the Iowa guy was going to drop to me for some reason. He shouldn't, but who Detroit got, that's who I wanted. But all reports out of training camp is that he has the starting job at tight end, and he's looking good, NFL ready.
Yep, because Big Bob Robert Tunyon went across the way to the Chicago Bears.
Chi-town.
And we did not re-sign Mercedes Lewis, which is another thing to point out, that Luke Musgrave is more of the Robert Tunyon-esque route runner tight end who can still do a little bit of pass blocking. But later in the draft, we drafted another tight end, and I'm blanking on his name right now. But the reason we got him is because he's a bigger guy who's more of the Mercedes Lewis run block, maybe red zone threat.
Even though Mercedes Lewis is old, playing for phenomenal. You guys, he does a damn good job of run blocking. That's her name, sure. Yeah.
So. Is he still a free agent right now?
Believe so.
I know there was obviously.
Don't quote me on that.
I know there's rumors of him going to New York, but.
No rumors just there. Because actual rumors. Okay,
yeah.
I thought you were just saying that because everybody's going to New York from Green Bay.
But let's talk about it really quick because you talked about your tight end. The only tight ends that went before were Dalton Kincaid, which you talked about with the Bills, Sam Laporta, Detroit Lions, Michael Mayer, Notre Dame, Las Vegas Raiders. Personally, as another team, my Dallas Cowboys, who took a tight end in the second round, I was hoping for that guy, Michael Mayer. Obviously, that didn't work out. And then you guys took Luke Musgrave at 42, and then the Cowboys took Luke Schoonmaker at 58, so a little bit later in the second round. But
I think we've been disrespecting him because everything that I've been seeing, people keep saying Schoonmaker.
Why is there
I don't know, but that's like ESPN and NFL Network keep saying it's Schoonmaker.
Schoonmaker it is.
Or Schoonmaker. I like Schoonmaker more.
Schoonmaker. Yeah, it doesn't sound as good.
Doesn't sound the same.
But yeah, Luke Musgrave, I mean, he didn't play a lot last season because he was down with injury at Oregon State.
He was.
But he still was really good in the season before that, so I don't hate this pick either. You needed a tight end, honestly.
Yeah,
you need more weapons really around.
And especially with having a quarterback come in that hasn't played hardly at all yet, that's what you want for a rookie quarterback or a guy who hasn't really played, is to have a nice, secure tight end, last resort, check down.
Open middle of the field. Don't have to try to huck it down the field.
Right.
Or take a sack.
Make it easier for him instead of trying to scan one wide receiver to the other side of the field, second wide receiver, you just check down right to the middle, right in front of you, hopefully.
This next guy is who I'm actually pretty excited for.
I am too. I hate Michigan State, but in round 2, number 50 overall, we selected Jaden Reed, wide receiver out of Michigan State. He was a beast in Michigan State. He torched Wisconsin. So I'm really happy with it.
Badger.
Yeah.
Woo, Bucky Badger.
I just didn't like him when he was at Michigan State, but I'm happy to have him on the team as a Packer for sure. Going into what you guys were talking about earlier of we don't draft an offensive player in the first round besides Jordan Love, it's true because we have a track record of it. And that's why I'm okay with it too, is because when we can go out and get Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, and last year Christian Watson, all coming out of the second round, I'm okay with it.
If Jaden Reed ends up becoming a fraction of
any of those guys.
We'll say the first 4. Christian Watson still has time to, like, he was obviously very good this last year, but he still has time. But those other 4 guys have already.
One of them's arguably a Hall of Famer.
I would say 2 of them are arguably Hall of Famers.
Ooh, I'll take that. I wasn't going to go that far. All the rest of them, except for Christian Watson's in the Packer Hall of Fame someday, 100%.
I get you saying there.
Those 5, though, Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, and Christian Watson, they were all catching balls from Aaron Rodgers, not Jordan Love. So we'll see if it's the Packers'
I believe
drafting ability.
Greg Jennings was a part of that transition of going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, where nobody thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be anything compared to Brett Favre.
Yeah. That's true. No, I agree. Christian Watson, sorry, Damon, to bring this up. The only thing that I think about, I'm glad that he turned around in the second half of the year. Because the first thing when we were watching Week 1 against the Vikings, it's the first play that he could ever have, and he could have started off his career with a bang.
That would have made this season so much different if that was a touchdown.
Yeah, literally, like that just set like a tone. I feel like, and it just was like, like it just was so wishy washy. You know, like towards like in the beginning of the season, there's just so many ups and downs with Christian Watson. He figured it out, and he had a lot of touchdowns in a short amount of time in the second half of the season. But like, if he could have started off like with a bang, I'm another guy that thinks like Rodgers goes away from people that he doesn't trust. You know, like we've seen it before. Like we talked about it last season. Like, will Aaron Rodgers trust these young guys? Yeah. And I think as soon as like that happened, it just kind of set like a trajectory like downwards. And then he gained it back. But like if he would have not had that dip, you know, we could have been talking about something way different last season. I don't want to bring up like last season because obviously it's a new season. Jordan loves the man, but like it just.
The only thing else I'll bring up from last season is it was nice at least to see Jordan Love and Christian Watson connect, I believe, twice for a touchdown
against the Eagles.
Sick. Was it actually?
Yeah,
I didn't remember.
Yeah, it was like a Sunday Night Football game. But Aaron Rodgers got hurt and Jordan Love came in.
Wow. Packers. His sixth favorite team.
More like 30.
Cowboys, Bears,
behind the
Titans, Cardinals. Yeah, something like that.
Behind the. At least the Eagles are still below you.
Sweet.
Don't dig yourself a bigger hole.
All right, but yeah, I mean, I think I give this offseason for the Packers a B+. I think it.
Thank you.
I think it went pretty well.
I did.
All things considered. It
could have been a lot worse. I don't know if I'd rate myself a B+ or them a B+, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse.
I love the Packers. They gave me my quarterback.
Yeah, congrats. I mean, we gave you Brett Favre before too, but you guys didn't do anything with him.
With Brett Favre,
we also didn't give you all of our offensive weapons with him, though. We kept those.
Well, yeah, we kept ours too.
Yeah, you should have gave some of them back. And not Corey Davis.
Yeah, you guys can have him.
No, that's fine.
You could have got Elijah Moore, but he ended up going to the Browns.
One last segment on my Packers for the fun of me being a Packer fan. I do want to kind of say this. My most underrated Packer in Packer history is going to be Ahman Green. He played 8 seasons as a Packer. 6 of those seasons he rushed for over 1,000 rushing yards. In 2003, he had 1,800 rushing yards and 15 rushing touchdowns. Along with that, he had 5 reception touchdowns that same year. Like back then, you don't really get MVP as a running back, but today, if that would have happened, I think you would have been in the discussion of MVP along those lines. He holds the Packers rushing yards, most rushing yards in Packer history with 9,205. That was as a career. I think it was like somewhere around 7,000, 8,000 as a Packer alone. So that's just my most underrated Packer in Packers history. He is a Packer Hall of Famer, I believe, but there's just no chance he makes the actual Hall of Fame, and I think that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Ahman Green.
And to keep pouring salt in my wound, I guess I will, not that we haven't talked about me getting hurt enough last season and previous seasons and playoffs, but my most exciting and saddest moment in Packer fan history was the 2015 playoff divisional game against the Arizona Cardinals. We were down by 7. Clock was starting to run out. We had a 4th and 20. Rodgers rolled out to his own end zone, found Jeff Janis for about a 40-yard gain and to keep that drive alive. Then, with time expiring, throws up a deep Hail Mary again to Jeff Janis, who catches it over Patrick Peterson, and I was ecstatic. We're going into overtime in the divisional round. Only to then let Larry Fitzgerald be wide open in the middle of the field, and then to just kind of jog his way to the end zone as our defense could not even play flag football and take the flag off of them if that's what they were actually playing. So that was... I may have cried after that game.
So, question for you. You going to cry more this season than that game?
No, because that season I had very high expectations for us.
Gotcha.
He said this year they're kind of down here.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, they're not that bad. For all of us, honestly, the predictions aren't that bad. But before we get to those, I just want to pose this question really quick. Obviously, as a Packer fan, do you think...
You're a Packer fan?
No, to you, because you're a Packer fan.
I don't think that's what he said.
He's a Green Bay Packer fan. I'm a New York Packer fan.
Respectfully. So, as Packers fans, do you think Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Jalen Reed are enough at receiver for for this season and in the future? Like, do you need to get a veteran guy to come in and help these guys, or do you ride the young wagon?
Nope. We are not in rebuild. We are in development. Is
Okay.
what I'm going to call it. So yes, actually a veteran wide receiver to come in and teach and mentor for this season would be fantastic. But I think coming up with more chemistry and giving them as many reps on the field as possible at Jordan Love is going to help out tremendously. I don't have high expectations of them being able to make the playoffs this year. So this is just kind of going to be one of those things of building team chemistry and getting ready for next year. And hopefully in 3 years, we'll be actually in the playoffs and competing for a Super Bowl. And if not, we're going to have to then probably do the rebuild.
Then rebuild is
Like an
necessary.
actual rebuild.
Because by then you'll probably know if Jordan Love is actually that guy or not, getting rid of him, extending him. Actually, I think next year we have to extend him if we want to. So
pick up his 5th-year option or not.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on the record predictions for the Green Bay Packers. I have them at 9-8 and just barely missing the playoffs as the 8th seed.
We actually all have them 9-8.
I also have them at 9-8. I have them at the 8th seed as well as John, and just barely missing the playoffs.
I have them at 9-8, and being 1 seed higher, I would actually kind of interested to compare the 3 and making the playoffs as a 7th seed, which means that they'd either have to play the Niners or Eagles or
Lions. No, I'm just kidding. Not the
whoever
Lions.
else.
Niners, Eagles are probably going to be somewhere around the 1 and the 2.
Scary.
Yeah.
That's scary. We can go ahead and I'll be excited if we make the playoffs. I just won't be
excited to watch that
game. But at least I'd be able.
Football is playoff football.
Right. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
It is that one game. It's not a series either, so it's anything really can happen. And I'd be able to rub it in a lot of people's faces because a lot of people have just written us off completely.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's people out there that have the Packers at 5-12 or even worse than that. So I don't expect them to fall off like that hard. Their defense is still can be when they want to be a top 10, but like it's just can they live up to that on the defensive end if the offense isn't as great as it could be,
John and I were talking about this today, and this is no disrespect. This is just talking pure football, but your team is the one with the lowest ceiling and lowest floor this year out of our 3 teams. But I think that they also have the best ability to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah.
It's like
I agree with that.
With our teams, especially his team has been relevant for the last 3-4 years. Your team as well. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers leaving a couple years ago, he was the MVP, but he's been able to help develop Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I really don't see them finishing under 500, especially in their division. But they get to play the Bears twice.
Go.
Hey, what do you mean? If somebody tunes in for the first time right now, they think we're a Bears podcast. Like he said, God damn. I'm just still keep on thanks.
He's keeping his on because it's not a real jersey.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, he's keeping his on because he's actually a Bears fan.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
Closeted Bears fan.
Well,
it's not very closeted.
Closeted Bears fan. All right, let's talk about the Chicago Bears, unless anybody, because I know we do have a lot of people that tune in from Wisconsin who also like the Packers. If anybody wants to pose a question or say anything about the Green Bay Packers, go ahead and do so right now.
Matson's still in here? Yo, Matson. Talking Bears. You better be in here.
Yep, it's about time for the Chicago Bears.
See?
All right, I'm just gonna move on to the Bears. If I see something about the Packers later, I'll check it.
Pause.
Yeah,
we can always pause the Bears segment. Honestly, to start off with, FanDuel Vegas has them at 7.5 wins.
Yeah,
it's obviously a big jump from where they finished last season. Obviously, they had injury issues.
Yeah, I think 3-14, like what they went last year, was like literally the floor. Like they were in a lot more games than their record shows. Like they weren't.
They reminded me of a couple years ago. There was completely different team, but the Ravens, I think it was 2018 or 19, they had 7 losses within 3 points, and I feel like the Bears were
Yeah, they were close with that.
really in games, and really thanks to Mr. Fields here.
You're not holding your mic.
Hopefully,
I don't know if any of that got picked up.
probably not.
All right, hit it again. I want to hear.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, it really was.
Goodness gracious. Well, hopefully you guys could hear part of that, but say it again. Vegas has them at 7.5. They finished 3-14. What I was saying is a couple years ago, the Ravens finished with like 7 losses within like 3-4 points. Bears were same thing last year. They were always within, keeping games close into the fourth quarter. Light skin Jesus helped them with that. But I think that they got significantly better on both sides of the ball this offseason. So
yeah, just some like notable games. Just looking back on the offseason, lost to the Giants by 8, the Vikings by 7, so like 1-score games. They lost to the Commanders by 5 on a 12-7 game. It's disgusting. They were 3 points away from beating the Dolphins 35-32, Lions 31-30, Falcons 27-24. Like they were in, even Eagles 25-20. Like they were in these games. Like obviously some of them were blowouts. Like the Lions beat them 41-10, or the Bills beat them 35-13. But there's that you can expect that with the team that was the Bears caliber last season. But there's no way they shouldn't have beaten. Like I think this season they beat teams like the Commanders and the Falcons and like teams like that were barely edged them last season on a field goal at the end or something like that. I think they're good enough to win by a touchdown or more now. But I guess what time will tell.
They had 2 notable free agents lost this year. We already talked about it. I'm going to say it right this time. Running back David Montgomery.
Not wide receiver.
Went to Detroit on a 3-year deal. They lost Riley Reef. Not Riley Reed. Riley Reef to New England. I don't know what that smile means.
What?
In free agency, they absolutely bolstered their defense this offseason.
Hell yeah, brother.
We already talked about both of these players because we've talked about both of their previous divisions, but they got linebacker Tremaine Edmonds from Buffalo and linebacker TJ Edwards from the Eagles. I think that, again, they really like going out and getting linebackers. Obviously, 3-4 years from now, they'll trade them away for a bag of chips, but hopefully they can make a difference.
No, obviously, I think it's probably going on 2 years now, but obviously the middle of that defense was Roquan Smith for the longest time, and they traded him away, because he was unhappy, didn't want to be there anymore. So the fact that they were able to bring in people that actually wanted to be there, even didn't Tremaine Edmonds, I'm almost positive that he said, like, I kind of want to be a part of a rebuild. I want to build something from the ground up is what he actually wanted. So the fact that
the Booker mindset.
So
I want the super team to come to me.
So like the fact that they have
actually
a core now that is committed to trying to make them, the next best thing versus holding, don't want to say like hostage, like holding Roquan Smith hostage because he was one of the best linebackers in the league, but he didn't want to be there anymore.
Khalil Mack too.
Yeah, let them go and get people that want to be a part of your culture, which I think they did with Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards.
I think they're both like 26, 27 years old too.
Yep, low to mid 20s. Like they could be. Obviously 4 and 3 year deals respectively.
Well, and I think that again, even Bears fans that I know, they know that they're not competing for a Super Bowl this year, but they're not far away from being able to compete in playoffs. I don't think that they make the playoffs this year, but it's baby steps. The Eagles didn't get good overnight.
When Jalen Hurts came in against the Packers for the first time ever, he didn't and played for the rest of the season. Nobody thought the Eagles would be in the Super Bowl a year later, 2 years later, So like it's on the development of Justin Fields, obviously, because quarterbacks are hot ticket items nowadays. Everybody says defenses win championships, which is true, but you also need at least above average quarterback play. So as he continues to develop, you're right. Like they're not far off. I don't think they're there yet, though.
Well, like I said, those are the two main for their defense. Obviously, we'll come back to these other that they gained in free agency, but getting DJ Moore, trading them 1 overall pick for DJ Moore this year, they did make a move that says to me at least that they're trying to win right now. I don't think that it's going to translate to being able to beat playoff contenders. I think that there's still going to be cuties in this division, but
cuties.
Yeah, contenders are cuties.
But so I agree that getting DJ Moore tells you that you're going to win now. But I think they got such a steal from the Panthers that like they also showed that we have draft capital if these things don't work out.
Yep.
Because they got first round 9, which was, we'll talk about that, and then they got second in this year's draft, a first round pick in 2024 and a second round pick in 2025. So you have top picks in the next 2 drafts coming up.
Yeah, it's not like you're not trading capital away from 4 or 5 years from now. It's just within the next couple years where this team is going to be together still. So if it's not working, then I mean, again, like we were talking with the Packers, they've kind of already been in rebuild mode, and they're not afraid to continue to have to cycle in.
So like when you brought up like the next 2 drafts, like that would be when Justin Fields' 5th-year option is. That would be where, you know, TJ Edwards on the last year of his deal, like that's like they set themselves up for like to push really hard for the next 3 years to see if they can get to a tier that they can be making the playoffs consistently. And if they get to that tier, then obviously they're going to start working towards maybe, you know, making a little bit more of like a splash with like older guys, trying to bring them in, you know, with that draft capital, you know, that they have.
Yeah.
But
let's see.
You don't have any 2 cents on the Bears, Damon? I'm surprised you're real quiet over there. Big rivals.
You guys were just talking so much. I mean, yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying. 100%.
A couple other the free agents that they gained this year. Go back to that. Guard Nate Davis from the Tennessee Titans. Defensive end DeMarcus Walker, also from Tennessee. They signed XFL standout quarterback PJ Walker. I think that that's pretty significant for them. Obviously, they have Justin Fields, but to be able to have a guy that's, I'm not going to say just as versatile as Justin Fields, but has the potential to come in, and I think that there could be specific offensive sets that they can kind of build around him for when Justin Fields is out of the game. We had talked about adding Robert Tonyan, signing with them. They also signed Dante Foreman from the Panthers,
which I think is huge. I think he can be a starting running back in this league. I'm a little bit biased on that because there was a fantasy year where Derrick Henry went down, and I was the guy to be able to get Foreman off the waiver wire.
When he was on Atlanta?
No, when he was in Tennessee.
Oh.
When Henry got hurt, he took over, and he pretty much almost put up same fantasy numbers in that stretch as Henry was.
Anyway, real quick before we get into more football knowledge, anybody got a good joke? We're being requested for a joke.
Oh, I got one. Ready?
The Bears.
I was going to say the Dallas Cowboys, but...
Ouch. Yeah, that's about as...
Good joke. Let me see. Does it have to be appropriate?
I mean, not necessarily, but don't go overboard.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, maybe that was the right... No, that was...
No, I won't tell that joke. Someone else's turn.
All right, well, we'll come back on the jokes.
Our stand-up comedians in the other room.
Yeah, sorry. I'd be like, shut up. We need a good joke.
J-Book, we need a joke.
I think it's funny that Megan was the one who said that, but said
Laurel needs a joke.
Make some jokes, and then I said the Bears. She's a Bears fan.
Yep. That's
Megan's a Bears fan?
No, Laurel is a big Bears fan.
Cooper.
Yeah.
Does he like football?
Yeah, he's a Packers fan.
My God.
Yeah, that's divide and conquer the household.
That's rough.
All right, let's continue. If we got any good jokes, maybe we'll have the jokester segment come on here soon.
We'll come up with some joke by the end.
Besides the Bears. Sorry, Mom.
You're not that sorry. Isn't she actually a Cowboys fan?
Well,
Is it more sorry, Dad?
Yeah.
They both like the Bears, so I can't. My bad.
He's a very confused fan growing up.
I was.
Sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Pakula, for him. The real joke. Sorry. I'm so sorry. That was
know.
I know you guys love him.
That was a good
I've
one.
never said anything that mean.
That
I'm sorry.
was a good one though.
But you raised a Cowboys fan.
They're Cowboys, man.
No, it was a good one though. None taken.
I apologize to you guys
Don't apologize. Oh.
for having to raise him.
Right back down. Alrighty. Keep her going with the Bears.
Let's see. Retained in free agency, wide receiver Dante Pettis, 1 year,
Woo!
$1.2 million deal. Obviously, DJ Moore is the wide receiver 1 there now.
Darnell Mooney.
hmm?
Darnell Mooney's the 2. You're not
always
big
been,
on him?
I'm very low. I've always been very low on Darnell Mooney.
I think Mooney's good.
My brother Mattson, big Bears fan, has always been talking about him. I think he's mid at best. I hope that he can prove me wrong, but
I hope he doesn't. But I think he's good.
I mean, I never wish on anyone's downfall, but other than Cowboys fans. Notable draft picks this year. Bears took number 10 overall Darnell Wright out of Tennessee.
This guy over Jalen Carter traded back 1 pick with the Eagles and allowed them to get Jalen Carter. Which pissed me off on draft night of mine.
I don't think
but
it's one of those things. I've watched different, draft day negotiations when they're trading picks and stuff, and some teams will straight up ask, like, if we trade you this pick, who are you gonna take?
And some people will be like, yeah, I'll tell you, and other people will be like, kind of keep that leverage.
Falling back here, whether they wanted Jalen Carter or not, they still got a guy that's going to help on the offensive line, going to help Justin Fields not get absolutely demolished.
That's the thing, though, is that the Bears' offensive line last year was atrocious.
Horrible.
Justin Fields was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL, and just think about this man's running ability and how much he had to scramble outside of the pocket.
I was about to say, other than watching as many Cardinals games as I have to because I live here, like, the Bears' offensive line was so atrocious.
Yeah, like, think about if somebody who's not mobile, like a Matthew Stafford or a Tom Brady or somebody was behind that Bears offensive line, we'd be talking about historical sack numbers because Justin Fields made it so that he did not get sacked.
I've been following Justin Fields since his senior year of high school, and I really think that, again, he's not the issue here.
No, I don't think so either.
Like, I know that he was hurt for a little bit last year.
Yeah, not very long, though. But, yeah, I get
damn
what
near 1,000-yard rusher as a quarterback. Like, he has that potential.
He is a running back.
No.
He is a...
If you look at his stats and just tape at Ohio State when he actually had a good offensive line behind him and playmakers on the outside.
Wide receivers.
He was a great passer. It's just when the Bears did not have great wide receiver talent and still have a mediocre offensive line. So he has to Houdini that shit.
Running back.
False.
Like I said, 3 and 14 was a little tough for them last year.
Yeah, it's a little too low, but
let's see. Second round, they took Gervon Dexter. I really wonder how people come up with names nowadays. Defensive line out of Florida. Obviously heavy on the defense this offseason for the Bears. This guy's 6'6", 310 pounds that ran a 4.88 40.
That is insane.
We were talking about homeboy earlier that's 6'5", 250. This guy's 6'6", 310 pounds, and he can move at a 4.88.
Yeah,
dude's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, he's a big boy moving around.
The 5th fastest time among all defensive linemen.
And if you think about it,
the NFL Combine,
there's other defensive linemen that are 260 or
not 310
not
pounds.
310, and he was still in the top 5 of the fastest. That is insane. So yeah, this guy might be a freak of nature out there on the defensive line, right in the middle, but it did address the biggest hole of defense. We talk about the Lions' rush defense being atrocious. The Bears were not too far behind them last season as well. They did not do very well in the rushing defense category. So you got a big buy, like big guy. I said big buy because I was looking at his name.
I thought you said big body. You like his big body?
Like Dexter here, Mr. Dexter out of Florida. Like he he could be really good, really solid for them in the middle of that interior defensive line.
Matson said, "We got the guys we wanted. Damon's an op."
Damon is an op for you. All right, let's talk about the record predictions.
That is the draft music. It doesn't make any sense.
I had the Bears going 8-9, which is barely less than the Packers this season. I think the NFC North as a whole will be decent, but yeah, Bears are just slightly just be out of the playoff picture. I mean, they'll be talked about when weeks coming up. I think it'll be fluctuating around 500 all season, but yeah, ultimately they're not going to make it 8-9.
I completely agree with you. Obviously, we touched on it. Looking back on their schedule last year, I think that some of those games that could have gone either way, some of those will end up going their way this year. I also have them going 8-9, finishing as the 9th seed. Obviously, looking on the outside of playoffs, but 8-9 is a hell of a lot closer than 3-14. And like I said, I think that this team really did get better on both sides of the ball this offseason.
I think it got slightly better on the offense. And, I mean, DJ Moore is a huge part of that. Their run game is going to struggle, I believe. Defensively, I think they got much better. But unfortunately, I don't think that defense is going to necessarily turn it into wins for you.
Yeah.
You can call me biased all you want for being a Packer fan with this record prediction, but I already put the Vikings and the Lions ahead of the Packers, and I hated doing that. Yeah. So just realistically, sorry, I just think the Bears are going to go 6-11 this year.
Which is honestly, again, still an upgrade. If they can do that, win 3 more games this year, turn that around, win another 3 games the following year, they're a playoff team or damn near it.
Yeah.
And again, Justin Fields is 24 years old.
Yep.
Like 23, 24 years old. And
yeah, I mean, he's got 2 more years on his rookie deal. That's something I wanted to bring up too, is like,
that's even before his 5th year option. They still have time.
Yeah, so they have this year. This year is 3rd year technically. Yeah. So this year, next year, and then they could pick up the 5th year option. So like, well, that's the question I was going to bring to you. If he had a pretty good season, all things considered. I mean, the record didn't show for it, but Justin Fields individually had a good season last season. Does he earn an extension before the 5th year option comes up within the next couple of years, or do you think the Bears aren't like super sold on that idea? Yeah.
With having part of my family be from Chicago and seeing all of how their front office operates, he gets probably an extension sometime this next season.
I would think so too.
Especially if halfway through the season they have an above 500 record, they don't even have to finish out the year before they would give him an extension. And he's obviously not worth max money at this point, but able to lock down a guy that is as versatile as Justin Fields is, you just don't want to see him walk.
Yeah,
you don't want to have to only be able to bring him back in 3 years on a franchise tag. You want to be able to lock him down.
Any point within the next 2 to 3 seasons, if they are a surprise playoff team at any point in that, I think that earns him. That's enough to earn him like his extension.
Yeah.
But would he be willing to sign that contract? Because I guarantee his agent would say, in your best interest, Justin Fields, is to wait, let the quarterback market continue to grow, and see you develop as a player so you could possibly get a max contract at the end there.
See, yeah, that's the other side of it. See, obviously it's 2 sides to this thing, because like we were thinking about it more about the team wise, but then you're thinking about it more individual wise. So both points are like make sense to me. I think that is possible, but I think also, especially with just how sports contracts work, your next paycheck isn't always guaranteed. They can cut you at any point if something were to go wrong. So I think if the money's on the table and it's a decent amount of money that, you look at how much other quarterbacks are being paid, but if it's even in the mid to upper tier of what other quarterbacks are getting paid, I think you go for it.
Matson said in the chat, he quoted Bears GM Ryan Poles, "We're going to take the North and never give it back."
Okay. You no longer have the most wins in NFL history, and the trophy is named after a great Green Bay Packer legend, Vince Lombardi.
You are only speaking facts here.
Okay, Ramsey.
And technically, the New York Jets now own your team.
True.
Okay, Ramsey Bolton.
That went with the trade. You guys got that. You got ownership of the Chicago Bears with that trade.
We can put that up at MetLife Stadium.
You can, yes.
Awesome.
Jordan Love doesn't own it. That's for sure. Not yet.
That was your dad in the chat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
I
was.
apologize, Mr. Bakula. Your son's one of the coolest people I've ever met in my life.
That's what I said. It's all jokes. It's all love. It's not like that. It was a joke.
I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I didn't love your son. So
that's funny though that you saw that. But I missed
it.
it.
I was like, why did you comment in the chat?
No,
I was like, oh,
that's
wait,
my father.
that's Senior.
Yeah, that's John Coolest Senior out there. But I made a Game of Thrones joke. I said, Ryan Poles more like Ramsay Bolton. We're taking the North. We're never giving it back. Sorry, I'm binge watching Game of Thrones right now. It's on my mind. But alrighty, I think it's time for the most anticipated segment, the NFC North draft.
I did not prepare for this, so I will be going off the top of my head, but I think I'll be okay.
So I think that because I went first for mine and he went first for his, I think it'd just be fair if we let you go first.
With the number 1 pick in the NFC
goddamn,
North draft, I will be taking wide receiver from the Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson.
Okay,
Thank you very much, boys.
There's no surprise there that he was going to go for. If he's in any division, arguably he goes first overall. So.
Yeah, and at least I wasn't biased and take somebody from my own team.
Well,
I'm the only one that did that.
I know, but he should have. He actually had a good reason to.
Yeah.
All right, I want to go third.
Why? I should make you go second now.
No, jeez. You know, rock paper scissors for it.
I'll go second. I gotta think about this. I'm going off the top of my noggin too.
Yeah,
Nice. It's kind of how we should do it.
I prepared personally
Absolutely.
because I was struggling last week on my own division for some damn reason.
Well, that's
so
kind of the point I'm at right now too. I'm just trying to think about it.
Yeah, that's why I didn't.
You're gonna have a lot of clip editing.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I was more willing to do research this time because I was like, I didn't want to fucking just wait.
If I don't take a Bears player, Matthew's going to clown me, so I'm not going to take a Bears player so that he can clown me.
The Gilbert Hunties are on the clock.
The Gilbert Hunties. Let's see. Second overall.
Just to recap, first overall, wide receiver Justin Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings.
The obvious second pick.
Cornerback Jair Alexander from the Green Bay
Thank
Packers.
you.
Yeah, that was my one.
That was
my
the
one.
Obvious second pick.
And my two.
There was only one other person that I was thinking of, but hopefully he doesn't take him.
So
he's got 2 picks right here.
Yeah. With my third pick, I'm going to take an offensive lineman from the Detroit Lions. Offensive tackle Penei Sewell is going to be my first pick.
Do you want to make the statement now or after the draft of I don't think that's the best offensive tackle in this division?
Oh, there's another one too.
You can take them if you want.
No, I'm not going to take both of them.
Bolster your
offensive line.
Just 3
do
offensive
something that
linemen.
The Bears don't know how to do.
Yikes.
Get an offensive line.
I was about to say, I guarantee you're not going to take an offensive lineman from the Bears.
So, with my second pick, first,
second round.
I think that's disrespectful. I don't even think he's the best offensive lineman on the Detroit Lions.
I mean, I have another one on my list too from the Detroit
Do you?
Lions. No, Penei Sewell.
I like Penei.
He's 100% the best.
I don't think he's the best one on Detroit.
Yeah, he is. He's the best lineman in the division as well. But
don't think that's true either.
I'm going to take defensive tackle from the Green Bay Packers, Kenny Clark, as my second pick. That's
kind of who I was hoping would fall to me. I'm not going to lie.
Let's see. Second overall in the second round. This one's tough.
We can talk. I want to hear who.
I'll definitely say it later.
I think I know who it is. Your bias is showing.
I'm gonna take.
Yeah, but I also said I don't think he's the best offensive lineman on the team.
Wrong. All right. Anyways, go on.
I'm gonna take wide receiver from the Bears, DJ Moore.
See, that's kind of where the direction I was thinking about going, but I held off. So.
With my second overall pick, my bias is showing. I will take left tackle and the best offensive lineman in this division, David Bakhtiari.
That was actually not who I thought you were going to pick. So
you don't think he's the best lineman and offensive lineman?
If he stays healthy, yeah. But he hasn't been healthy in 3 seasons.
He has a track record
at chugging beer.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, 100%. That's just
he's the best offensive lineman.
That's just given.
But he has not been healthy the last 3 seasons. So unless he can show me that he can return to his all-pro form this season, I disagree. Personally. I don't hate your
I
pick,
bet in
but
Madden, Penei Sewell's not a superstar.
Respectfully.
Respect.
David Bakhtiari, even being injured, is still a superstar
I
in
bet
Madden.
Penei Sewell is a superstar.
And when he wasn't injured, he was an X factor.
There's no X Factor offensive lineman.
You want to make that bet?
Yeah, there is. There isn't. 100%
There used to be one on your Dallas Cowboys.
There's no X Factor lineman.
Yes, there are.
Pick your next
What would
pick.
their X factor be?
Huh?
What would their X factor be?
I don't know.
Exactly. I think he's right. I don't think.
I think there is. I think there's X Factor linemen though.
For
Would be amazing if they had X Factors like
Pretty
pancake
sure there
blocker
is,
or blindside blocker.
I really still think there is, but I could be wrong.
I think
They
Fine,
have
he's at the
superstar
top of
ability.
his tier.
superstar
He's a
abilities, not
superstar.
X
Yeah.
factors.
I do not believe so. And Madden, the O-line is
Whatever.
probably the most useless position. That's what
Well, that's just not
Yeah,
true
that's
at
not
all.
Yeah, that one is true, but
Every single year for Madden, my creative player is a center.
of course, there's no O-line X Factors.
It
Not
makes
even a
such a
thing,
difference every
according to
single
anyone
year.
at EA. Wrong.
Any fumbles? Do you ever fumble with a snap?
I've only fumbled once.
That's an impressive track record.
Yeah.
You're funny as fuck for that. All right, anyways.
All right, I guess I was wrong. Whatever.
Still,
Well,
he's still
at
good.
the top of his tier then because he's a superstar. All right.
So just recap: Justin Jefferson,
And
David Bakhtiari, DJ Moore, and Alexander. And I have Penei Sewell and Kenny Clark.
Kenny Clark was a good one. I really wanted him. I think my bias is still going to show, and I think I'm going to go with middle linebacker Devondre Campbell.
He wasn't even on my list of top players, honestly, but I don't hate that pick. No,
My third and final pick, linebacker for the Bears, Tremaine Edmonds.
pretty good pick, solid pick. I think I'm getting great value in this draft at this pick right now. As the last pick in my draft, I'm going to take wide receiver from the Detroit Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I might have fucked up there.
I think we all had really solid.
I might have
drafts.
fucked up there. I forgot about that guy. I don't know how.
I almost
but
took him with
probably because he's so short, but
I almost took him with the first pick in the second round, like when I had back to back. But
Yeah,
I
I
also
could've
didn't want to
drafted
go 2 Lions in a row. So then I'm glad that he fell to me. Fair.
yeah, I should have taken him instead of Devondre Campbell. I'm not mad with my pick still.
No,
still
yeah,
like
I think
my
it-
team.
Madsen says Hunter wrong just because he picked DJ Moore probably and Tremaine
It's
Edmonds.
so stupid.
I was actually trying to not choose.
a bear.
Yeah.
So back to our other discussion where we were arguing earlier. I think the best offensive lineman on the Detroit Lions is center Frank Ragnow.
See, I was thinking more of the other side of the tackle in Christian Darrisaw.
Frank Ragnow.
No, I agree. He was on my list as well. So
Lions have a solid line.
yeah,
They
they really
do have
do.
a really
Maybe
good.
That's why they were able.
They have
to
a really good
finish 9-8.
offensive line. They do. They really do.
Since I was
I guess that makes sense because they had an offensive line to protect Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
see,
Well, also that's the reason why
And
Jamal
mobile.
Williams had so many rushing touchdowns right on the
17.
goal line last
Be
year.
able to just
Yeah,
run up the middle.
they just big boyed it.
Yeah.
They just pushed everybody out of the way.
All right,
so
Jamal, where do you want the hole?
yeah, for real. But just since I did some notes, I just want people that we didn't take include Elgin Jenkins, who I thought you were gonna take instead of
I
Bakhtiari.
think Bakhtiari's
Light-skinned
better, but I
Jesus.
still Alton Jenkins. I would almost
Justin Fields
argue
is true.
Alton Jenkins is the second best in this division. Offensive lineman.
But yeah, I'm surprised nobody took Justin Fields. I mean,
I'm not.
He has the potential
He-
to be a top.
He
9
does, but
player
he's
in
just
this
not a
division.
top
Yeah.
10
Right
in this
now.
division
yeah,
right now.
now.
No.
when we're putting in
There's no
retrospect
quarterback
of
in this division that should be a part of it.
every position, yeah, it's hard to put him top 9 because that's what we draft. You know, is he
I think
top
this is
12, top 15?
This is the first of our. Yeah, this is the first
We
of our
just
3
haven't
drafts
taken a quarterback.
that we didn't take a quarterback.
Well, the one that should have been drafted if we were going to is probably Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
but
he
I
was
don't
on
think,
my list,
I think,
too.
I think he barely misses my top 10 list.
When my second pick, that's who I was considering, was Kirk Cousins. I actually really loved him out of Michigan State. But
I have bias on that. I hated him.
that's fine.
But also
Lucky Badger.
some people that we didn't take, Elgin Jenkins. And I also talked about Christian Darrisaw. He's on my list. And then Daniil Hunter,
Yeah.
defensive end from, he had,
Vikings.
yeah, like 12 and a half sacks, I think, roughly last season. So, like, he's up there. Rashawn Gary was on my list. And then Kirk Cousins. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who is just newly acquired
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, so like it's hard when we're only drafting 3 people each. There's obviously going to be people that we leave out, but I think
Some honorable mentions.
yeah, they were. But I think overall each of us had a pretty good draft. I would say this was probably our most even draft for all 3 of us. Like there's
Would you disagree with Matson right now? Packers have the worst quarterback in the division, and that's a fact. At the
Right.
moment.
At the moment, yeah, I guess I can agree with that. But at the end of the season, I don't think that's going to be the case.
It'll be Kirk Cousins. Lol.
I don't think it'll be Kirk
I was
Cousins
about
because
to say,
he's
I think
throwing
it
to a good
definitely-
wide receiver class. He's got such great weapons that
Again-
it's going to be hard for him to be the worst stats wise. I think that Jordan Love can have a better season than Jared Goff.
I was about to say, I think that it's a higher chance that the worst quarterback is going to be Jared Goff than Jordan or
But
Justin
I
Fields.
still think there's even a chance that Justin Fields ends up playing down because the new offense isn't clicking together. You got a new wide receiver, you got a new running back. Your offensive line still is kind of garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, good job going out and getting an offensive tackle in the first round, but it's going to take some time for him to develop, and it's only one receiver. Guy. So are you just going to roll out to that side of the pocket every single time?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee the Packers are just going to stack guys on that side.
I get you.
I was about to say all 3 other teams in the division, besides the Bears, have defenses that can get to Justin Fields or the ability to get to Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, again, if they don't continue to do something for the offensive line, we could see – I don't think we're going to see any sort of regression, but we could see another Bears team that has 3 to 6 wins.
Yeah. I think so too.
His ceiling is obviously way higher than that.
Yeah, 100%.
The Bears could shock everybody and be an 11-win team, but they could also be another 3-win team.
Yeah, they could. I'm not gonna deny that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with you. They could be an 11-win team.
Yeah.
Just I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I just feel like they needed to go get offensive line help, and they did everything except that. Like they took an offensive line, but he's not proven.
Personally, if I'm in the draft room, that's something they should have been doing 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You want to let your offensive line and hope that you hit on them and they grow together and team chemistry together. And by the time they get to their late 20s,
second year.
Yeah.
GM.
Yeah, that other GM and head coach was atrocious.
Well, and last year the Bears had a great
Don't even get me started with that shit.
Yeah. The Bears had a great draft last year.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, we were talking about it earlier, give them another 2 to 3 seasons and they're going to be making waves in the NFC.
This is going to be a tough question, but it just came to my head because we just started talking about coaches. Is this division got like the best coaches, top to bottom? Kevin O'Connell did pretty good for the Minnesota last year too. I don't think anybody's going to just merge the guy that could just kick everybody's ass in Detroit.
No, yeah, I don't want. Dan Campbell's that guy. So
I couldn't think of his name. That's why I said that way.
Coaches wise, I definitely think they're up there. I'm biased with the AFC East and having Bill Belichick in that division, obviously.
Matt Eberflus, you guys are big on Big Matty over there in Chicago.
I mean, I think the upgrade is just crazy to me.
With him and Ryan Poles actually being on the same page, I think that's something like I can't even remember who their head coach was before this. Was it Matt Nagy?
Yeah, Matt Nagy.
Which is back in Kansas City, so that's tough for Patty.
Kelly Kid says NFC West for best coaches. So you got San Francisco. Yeah, that's pretty good. Sean McVay, Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Except for you got the Cardinals.
Jonathan Gannon.
That's the new guy?
That's the new guy. So I guess we don't know, but we don't know how he's going to do.
He's a Niners fan.
Yeah. Big Niners guy.
Def not with the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's kind of what I'm saying though with the NFC North of coaches, are like top to bottom. Like it seems like every division's going to have one that's really bad. I guess the AFC East was a really good one to bring up because
I feel like I almost feel like there's like always just like one division, or like every division has like 2 or 3 great ones, and then there's that one guy that's like
yeah.
Because I was thinking about obviously I just want to throw the NFC East in there. I don't believe that that's true, but like, Brian Dable,
Cali Kid.
Yeah, and then
it is for sure. That's gonna help. Being from the Eagles, you're coming from a good system.
Yeah, that's true.
But can you make it translate? Because we've seen other offensive coordinators come from other teams or whatever he was, defense, offensive coordinator, and then just shit the bed. Because, I mean, that's what the guy did, our old offensive coordinator for the Packers did when he went over to the Broncos. He did horrible.
Or it could turn
Good
out like
fucking luck with that one.
could turn out like Kevin O'Connell when he went over. Could turn out like Robert Saleh, and honestly, it could turn out with D'Amico Ryans down in Houston now, like that.
Brian Daboll's doing really good for the
He
Giants.
did really good last year, like so. It's hit or miss, but honestly, it's been a good trend of like coordinators. Well, I mean,
Mike
we're just talking about
McDaniels.
the Bears. Matt Eberflus came from the Colts, like defensive coordinator from the Colts. So like,
the defensive-minded coach, which isn't what they needed, and he doesn't have a good scheme. He just had good players. I think that's
Talking about Jonathan
we
Gannon,
talked about
right?
we talked about that last year when you guys signed that coach, because we were like, you would think having Justin Fields, having a young quarterback, you would want an offensive-minded head coach to come in and develop this superstar quarterback.
yeah, but then they went for a defensive-minded coach from Indianapolis. So like, I guess maybe that's the same thing they're talking about, like with the Cardinals. Like,
Colts had a really good defense.
I
Though.
yeah,
think
they did.
the
When
Cardinals-
that year,
The Cardinals also just had a like organizational shift. Got rid of Steve Keim. They have a new general manager.
yeah,
Don't even
they
know his
cleaned
name.
house.
But like they just came off of who was supposed to be one of the hottest offensive-minded coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury
and
was.
him and Kyler weren't able to do anything.
Yeah,
So I think that's where they
they
kind of
just flipped
shift
it. Yeah,
because where the Cardinals have found their biggest success was when Bruce Arians was a head coach, and obviously he's offensive, but it was when we had Steve Wilkes and Todd Bowles as our defensive staff, and like the Cardinals were actually able to do something.
yeah, that makes sense to me. Definitely get it. All right, I think we've had good conversations.
Any last minute questions?
Yeah, before we conclude, NFC North. Next is, well, now we're done with our three divisions as Jets, Cowboys, Packers. Now we're moving on to the rest of the NFL, and we'll be doing the AFC North next week. Keep it in the same because we did AFC East, NFC East, NFC North, AFC North.
We got a surprise for everyone next week.
Yeah, there's going to be a good surprise next week for the AFC North. Well, I guess we should bring that up now for people that are going to be here. You're going to have to be flexible with us because it's probably going to happen in the middle of the week sometime because beautiful Hunter over here is leaving us to go to good old Mexico for the weekend.
I'm going to go to Rocky Point and spend 4 days on the beach.
Yeah, that's not a bad gig.
I'll FaceTime you guys.
Wow.
It's only like 4 hours away if you want to come.
Nope.
How many glizzies can John take?
We are done.
Well, wearing this jersey over here, infinite, because that's all you guys do is take glizzies.
Oh, Jesus. Alrighty. Well, I think on behalf of the Fortune Sports crew, we are concluding another great episode of Football's Destiny presented by Fortune Sports.
Stay safe.
Doodles.
Deuces and switches. Love you guys. See you next week sometime. Peace.
Why are you running?
Tell me when you see me go off screen.
We aren't done
No,
until the
no.
question is answered. I already answered. Infinite. Wearing a Bears jersey.